welcome back to Connect. While the issue of bullying has certainly dominated the headlines in recent months, coming up in just a couple of minutes, we'll meet a couple of local people who are looking to form a bylaw against bullying in the city of Saskatoon. But first, let's take a look at a story I did focusing on the potential victims of bullying, school children who took a stand.
Rainbow, pink, it doesn't have to be just pink.
Parents of students at Silverwood Heights Elementary may find themselves having to do a late in the school year supply run, as there was definitely a run on one color of marker and pencil crayon this week. Pink was the theme at this and several Saskatoon schools, as students took a stand against bullying.
At the start of the day, we went to the gym, all the grades, and we did an assembly, and we just talked about how to stand up to bullying and what not to do.
You can just walk away, or you can tell a teacher. That's one of the best things to do, or your parent, and they will contact the teacher. You can also just talk back and say, please don't do that, I don't appreciate it.
Oh, I love the way you put the two hands holding. Good job.
Each class also collaborated on an art project, as individual students colored pieces of a paper t-shirt that, when assembled, contained dozens of pictures and messages that promote diversity and acceptance.
Do you want others what you want them to do to you?
Sure, yeah.
The completed shirts were then hung by the front door of the school for all visitors to see.
Treat others the way you want to be treated.
Treat others the way you want to be treated.
Don't be a bystander to bullying!
On the other side of the city, students from Henry Kelsey Elementary took their anti-bullying message to the street, with a walk from their school down 33rd Street to Idlewild.
There's bullying everywhere you go, especially with girls and cyberbullying. It's gotten a lot worse with all the technology.
We're just going to raise awareness and try to take bullying down a level because, bullying is, a lot of it happens in the world, and like the more people that join in to support it and everything, it will stop.
And that's one of the reasons these projects involve students of all ages. Even though the problem is more prevalent at higher grade levels, it's never too early to learn the lesson.
It's so cool to see everyone together, just coming together for like a really good cause, because they're supporting, stopping bullying, because there's no need to do it.
I'm now very happy to be joined by Stephanie Meyer and Michelle Medassia. Michelle, you are a third-year social work student at the University of Regina Saskatoon campus, and you're actually involved in this movement to launch an anti-bullying bylaw. First of all, where did this idea come from?
My professor, Bridget Creek, in one of my classes, brought it to the class as kind of a class project to just look at the class was about community development, and a few of us kind of latched onto it and ran with it, and decided to actually make this a reality in Saskatoon.
Talk a little bit about the process of trying to actually get a bylaw made. I know you've gone to council, you went to the April 8th meeting, I believe.
Yes.
You talked to them about it. Where do we sit now? What is that process like?
Well, we started off with the petition and some letters of support. Our paper petition got 600 signatures, and it's still being circulated. We also added an online petition. I think we're at 230 signatures there. We really would like to see numbers in the thousands.
Sure.
We're trying to get it circulated. And Bridget collected some letters of support, and we went to City Council. Bridget gave a very moving 5-minute speech about why this was important to her and to parents and educators. And I believe we have an appointment with a City Councillor next week, and we're just trying to follow up. Council said that they would discuss it and work with us. Whether or not it's going to happen quickly or not, I'm not sure.
They seemed potentially receptive to the idea of a bylaw?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, everybody that I've spoken to, they have one or two little small points that they see, what would we do here or what would we do in this situation? But in all, most people are very supportive of the idea of some consequences for bullying behavior.
That was going to be my next question. How is something like this enforced? The potential repercussions. Is it too early to discuss that sort of thing? Are you just trying to get it in place and then figure that out, or where does that stand?
We have a few ideas. The idea for the bylaw came from a few other towns and cities in other provinces that were doing it. So we looked at Hannah, Alberta's bylaw, and with theirs, it clearly outlined what bullying is, what it looks like, what the behaviors are, and then had steps for punishment consequences, fines being one of them. Okay. So we like the idea of, you know, a fine, but this isn't just someone calls someone a name and they get a fine. This is, you know, repeated incidences, documented incidences of harassment. I imagine, we've discussed it a little bit, I imagine enforcement would be, you know, police,
sure.
bylaw officers. People would have to document and take their reports to the police to have that looked at.
Absolutely. Certainly one of the things that has probably really changed the nature of bullying since any of us were children, of course, the age of social media,
yes.
the internet, that has really taken things to a new level. We actually just got a news release. The Premier of Saskatchewan, Brad Wall, has called for an emergency debate on cyberbullying. So obviously this is being taken seriously at hopefully all levels of government. Stephanie Meyer, you are with the Avenue Community Centre for Gender and Sexual Diversity. Obviously, I'm guessing this is something that you might see or hear about more than just about anyone. Is this something that has really grown in recent years?
Bullying, in particular for the gender and sexually diverse youth population, has always been a problem. Statistically, 2/3 of gender and sexually diverse youth are bullied on a daily basis. So it's a huge problem. Cyberbullying has made it worse. They can't escape it. It's not something that school officials can do anything about because it doesn't take place on school property.
Right.
So the idea of bullying bylaws and some sort of consequences, be they, I think as part of the Bully Prevention Network, we would be more interested in looking at reformative and educational consequences rather than strictly financial. So, but it is definitely something that needs to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And in some ways it's interesting because I feel in a lot of ways the society has maybe become more accepting of different types of sexual identities, but obviously there's still some cases, I guess, especially among younger people, where maybe that message isn't getting through.
No, and also it's not just gender and sexually diverse youth that experience homophobic and gender-based bullying.
Sure.
All youth do. I mean, it's one of the easiest ways to attack someone is to attack their masculinity, or, I mean, femininity is seen as shameful for some reason in society, and so it's the easiest way to attack someone.
Absolutely. And so this is, you see examples of this a lot. I'm guessing, talk a little bit, first of all, maybe before we get into that, the center itself, the work that you do, working with young people?
Oh, a large part of what we do is working with youth. We have 2 very active youth groups that focus on leadership development and tackling isolation, creating social bonds, and creating supportive environments. So we also work with adult population, the transgender population at all ages. So we do a lot of work in the community and across the province, really. We're a unique organization.
Absolutely. I'll put this out to either of you. Of course, we had the recent tragic case in Nova Scotia with the young girl who committed suicide. In obviously a tragic situation, but I think in some ways helped bring attention to the issue.
Yes, definitely. It was interesting. We coincided our efforts, you know, we started talking about this in March, and we coincided our efforts with the Pink Revolution Week that the community center was putting on, and it just so happened that a few major incidences took place that put the public spotlight on what's going on, which only reinforces the need for it.
Absolutely. So the bylaw, as you say, a meeting coming up with one of the city councillors. Is there a timeline in mind for when we might see something, or is it just too hard to say at this point?
Too hard to say at this point. Yeah, we're just going to keep plugging along and keep talking to the people we need to talk to and continuing to garner community support.
Again, for either of you, in terms of support from parents, do you see a lot of, with the kids that you work with at the Avenue Centre, are they aware of it? Are they dealing with it? I mean, obviously, because there's issues there between parents who have children with sexual identity issues. What are you seeing from the parents?
The parents feel helpless.
Yeah.
They know that their children are struggling. They know that their children are struggling not only with identity issues, which is a large enough weight to carry, but also with shame coming from the outside. So they really feel helpless. They don't know how to necessarily help their children, not only with their own identity, but with the abuse that's coming from the outside. They don't feel like they can do anything. So we try to support them as well. And with the Bully Prevention Network, with Pink Revolution Week, this year for the first time we actually had workshops for parents.
That's great.
Yeah. So.
And how was the response to that?
The response was great. People were really grateful. There were a lot of parents who came especially to the Facebook group and talked about feeling supported and feeling helpless. You know, that they have felt helpless and they appreciated being supportive.
That's great. And of course, another big component for this, you touched on it a little bit, schools are somewhat limited in terms of what they can do, especially with the cyber type bullying. Mm-hmm. Do you feel like schools are taking this seriously? Are they doing what they can do, or do you think more needs to be done from the school perspective?
I think schools are, just about every single school in Saskatoon has anti-bullying policies and no tolerance, zero tolerance policies. But like you've pointed out, it's, I think teens and youth and people who are doing the bullying realize that they're going to get in trouble at school. Mm-hmm. Therefore, they wait and decide to use Facebook or texting or, wait till they're off of school property, which then leaves it, kind of who handles this.
Right.
Lots of times the police can't do much. It's not criminal behavior at that point, is what they say. So that's where we see the need for a bylaw to handle that, evening time of bullying via social media. Yeah.
And sorry, go ahead.
Oh, that's fine. We found that the schools have been incredibly supportive. They're very eager. We actually have worked very closely with the schools for Pink Revolution, and they've made our curriculum samples and ideas available year-round on their portal for teachers. So, and we're doing teacher education programming and things like that. So they're really eager to create change.
Excellent. Well, it'll be very interesting to see what happens with this bylaw, especially as we head into the summer months. Wish you good luck with your negotiations with the city in terms of bringing this to fruition.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, we have a Facebook page
Okay.
Called Adopt an Anti-Bullying Bylaw in Saskatoon. So if folks want to like that page and follow what, we'll be giving constant updates on what's happening and where we're at and who we've spoken to. We try to inform everybody, and the petition is the links are on there as well.
People can sign right there from the Facebook page?
Yes, yeah.
That's great. Well, thank you both so much for coming on the show. Great to have you here, and you're obviously doing very important work for the young people in Saskatoon.
Thank you.
All right. That will do it for this episode of Connect. Thank you once again to Stephanie and Michelle, as well as Brenda Wallace from the City of Saskatoon for coming on. And thank you for watching. Remember, as always, we want to connect with you. Share your thoughts about the topics we've discussed this week or whatever's on your mind. You can tweet us at Shaw TV Connect, visit our Facebook page, email shawtvconnect@shaw.ca, or give us a call at 665-3796. Until next time, I'm Simon Hyatt. Thanks for watching.
There's bullying everywhere you go, especially with girls and cyberbullying. It's gotten a lot worse with all the technology.
We're just gonna raise awareness and try to take bullying down a level.
You can just walk away, or you can tell a teacher. That's one of the best things to do, or your parent, and they will contact the teacher. You can also just talk back and say, please don't do that, I don't appreciate it.